I'm going to change it up to a round start. Heck. Stop that dead time.
I'm good whenever.
I'm good.
Okay. Cool. And, oh wait, 1 second. It's loading. Contention 1 is framework. The standard is consistent with hedonist, gag, utilitarianism, makes sexual ways into category. We just think out the categories number 22. Process universally infringed on all human beings, all colonists like that serve true scrutiny, the power to kill life, all things should not be hastings, including humanity, wants to cheat, or they claim universality are futures for whiteness. Death of all living beings became the source of universality. Serious must recognize universality that have arisen alongside immunization of the apocalypse. The risk is just too high. We have reason to prevent extinction. Extremely high stakes. 2 times 10 to the 14th. Extinction is irreversible in time. We want better evidence how to evaluate extinction. If we did research, we would know for certain other people positive. Contention 2 is primacy. First is normalization. Normalization is on ice, but concessions to Palestine and anything God's war are the missing piece. Make it 23. Biden and Solomon agreed to build on negotiation, normalize that over the world, no whatever, no longer lead for not pursuing after the media's abilities on control for the iron dollar, resuming Israel and Palestinian peace, react to normalization on ice and the war, in the weeks before progress, normalize relations. 2 impacts. First, it lets the U.S. reassert its commitment to the Middle East to deter China, guy rate 3. China's borders were deal by the border focus on countering China, the most important partner China has secured deal with the Saudi around minimizing Israel's Saudi economy aspect of China, China's Saudi interest, China made inroads out of oil with an uncorrected great dollar by kicking wins and region that hasn't given exceeding to spheres of influence cause great power war, and we can call democracy grants 20. As well, Republicans say, done to do other here in my other green invasion on India, they want to remind government consequences with them by the crisis. Marxist U.S. what's up economically put at disadvantage, not concede Chinese SY causing crises, nuclear war. That's why some ended war ideas are to reach us on subject examine ideology, drive good powers, rising state time, the negotiate one state power, so conceiving sphere, give challenge better business and realize ambitions that are push the U.S. beyond Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And second, it creates a quote bulwark of allegations against Iran and quote, which is otherwise oppressive. Amendment 23. Iran's ambitions is not been sorted to Arabs and Israel is not on the leading sponsor of terror. Biden believed realized not that stabilize war with relations between Saudi and Israel, great war against Iran, and normalize religion. Other countries part of being American letter rebellion with Israel, undermining Israel's goal for dominance. Iran remains a rival. Saudis wait to see the outcome of this war. Iran activists, this ball becomes the fighting moment. Take over only Israel's missile systems are getting more Iran diminished allies when it can do the in the region more stable. Israel will retaliate with nukes for only 19. The unnecessary original use of ground doesn't be the result of attack Israel's goals. We need to destroy the military capacity of the enemy and send a message that any attack will be met with retaliation. There's no question Israel will consider using its weapons if the conventional weapons if that in favor of the believe it. Israel isolated and vulnerable to conventional attack nuclear weapons would remain part of the toolkit. Second is credibility, support for the rules-based international order, human rights are key to resurgent post-Trump shedding of 2021. Significant impact on women's economic democracy, human rights internationally, mentally embracing authority and leading how it's brought in the way. Increased competition by minorities, power and security pressed on human rights cannot afford to be ignored, mentioned during reports that each time rights leaders saying in LinkedIn and civil rights movement looks like enhance U.S. credibility, world watch closely, competition focus on values, not just economic military issues. American leadership is tied to credibility and is in free fall. That seems as if China goes 23. China begins the majority of the Israel leading in one system which can accept back not on to make the case for multilateral engagement that human rights calls for upholding which and see the decisions that China rests on strength of armed appeal and leverage or need to develop alternative purposes and respond priorities of China's constituency support for the cause wars the largest internally credibility drop out the plans against enemies were in Capital 23. World War II battles are about to go to be Gaza, and American citizens are goal, South African boys, other than the beginning global meetings, knowledge in the U.S. as word as imperialis, how it is regarded watching against human rights and more in the background of the overseas are not condemning atrocities, exposed hypocrisy after Ukraine, Washington, sort of the United World. Most notable that printed not sanctioned Russia, widespread recognition of the differences between high law set by the UN and U.S. selective application. Many saw hypocrisy considering support for Israel. White House polls the government who's facing among countries and put down this way the world government policy and presidents and governments instead of debtor and from Ukraine now a double standard China been defenses from Israel. There's the Palestinians in viable global and more mission support for Israel. Some U.S. refused to states resolve. The Chinese government position is true. There's up to time called Taiwan War. Beijing strategy to global powers representing the party people's clean power and government is no way you see them this ever having one family no vacancies each other again on top of the world and South Sea terrorism United States China achieved now for nation reinforced authority provided with the sort of national and social ban and procedure on global for rulers give ability silence could upgrade create rules that autocracy goals leader pursuit games aspire to be the internals of the U.S. and international leaders who are watching their living master regardless of primacy long time the U.S. never given up to their system existence beacon of hope the human rights looks like necessity to be recognized no woman on power policy threatening to speak unless America states democracy sees the economic China hold without claims that want ourselves support promise debate U.S. obstruct drive for dominant Western moral advantage and happens by 2025 and 2023 circumstances golden sheep by 25 sheets of ordinance the U.S. locking arms around America China find the world plus our scholars as increased more living with gas China invades so we want to see semiconductor which Americans depend on which China will metal keep life from money Taiwan goes to nuclear 22 maybe we're going to be the global says very border to like the grand shape and wave around and all the games security radar with Virgin good 100 blizzards of the U.S. ships and air bases watching and launching missiles and key ports, air bases, radar stations, command centers for U.S. health carriers and others for China also has to make war with losers unacceptable that resorting new temptation to escalate is great. Contention 3 is solvency. Plan. The United States should substantially reduce its military presence in the state of Israel. Israel is the largest activity in the U.S. military aid by months and more American laws mean that aid is legal, but Israel is exempt from restrictions. Section 3. Finance for preventing evil citizens and military to lady turbines at Israel, where it's going to be here, this is $1 billion, weapon munitions, and just make 80% of the same that these three took for legislation, also use again, is the underarm, and the also belonging to the over region, sending HB illegal foreign to sack agreements, as in the country with pattern by the mutual arms, take war control access, influenced by weapons, for self-defense, bombardment, was only here for using in the borders and arms control stuff, the U.S. instructed to blank check with no vetting, the vendors stop by restricting it, rumor also one. Also by moving the paradox calls from the U.S. to bring humanitarian foreign policy, restore multiple animals, other rules, to give you neutral, to bring up Gene Grove, number of voter support, initiatives to restrict aid, the admission force, existing laws prohibit use of citizens for legitimate purposes and restrict aid from further entrenching Israeli occupation. The plan for following concessions specifically over Palestine and empirics are AF, which solves normalization by getting over Saudi Arabia's biggest problem, which was about by 18. President didn't move Israeli policy by names terms of the economic mandate for boundaries or member use and so withdrawal was done. Expanding digital access with else and goes more pressure produce concessions again. One threat to aid troops began we needed within 36 hours threatened to halt armed cells force withdrawal from Sinai in 75 Carter Strat force withdrawal from Lebanon 1977 Bush forces will participate in Congress for negotiation with the Palestinians and interpretation negative advocacies must be dispositional. Anything else is bad for quality of debates because it lets the net kick out of one-air offense and discourages in-depth testing of counter-offense. Dispositionality solves our offense because if we make a permutation argument or theory, they can kick it and use competing interpretations because anything else is bad because it incentivizes a race to the bottom. Also excuse one air time. I'm good. Wait, let me set the timer.
You have an across?
No.
Okay.
I just need to get a timer. Where is this? Okay, yes, I'm good.
Okay. How is the U.S. reducing presence in Israel?
We think that that would entail a change in the military relationship that we have with Israel. This most likely would include things like military arms sales, military-to-military cooperation, troops that we might have on the ground.
Okay. Are you restricting presence?
Yes.
How are you restricting presence?
We think that we would restrict military posturing that goes towards things that violate U.S. legal code. So this includes, one, we cannot provide aid or assistance or troops to countries in an offensive war. Two,
okay, great.
we cannot.
So you define as a legal presence something that violates U.S. code. How do you control what Israel does? Like if you give them a gun, how do you control they won't hurt a Gazan citizen?
We won't give the units that do that guns.
But how do you know what they're going to do because you haven't given them the gun yet?
We won't give them the gun if the unit has a pattern of violating HR, and we won't give them the gun because they're in the war. Because they're in an offensive war right now. And
okay, so you won't give them any guns?
Well, no, we won't give them guns until the war is over, and we won't give them guns to units that have been proven to violate human rights.
Okay, what if Israel says no to the conditions?
We think that they will say yes to the conditions. What do you mean?
Which evidence of yours says that?
The binary evidence. It says that threats and past restrictions have been sufficient because Israel is afraid of being alone.
Okay, so if they say yes, is the U.S. still going to supply a similar level of aid to them?
No, it would be a permanently reduced amount of aid because those units that were committing human rights abuses would never be given aid again because those specific units.
Okay, so
would no
you're
longer be
withdrawing
eligible.
those from Israel?
Yes.
How do you know which units specifically were used?
We think that there's processes that are used similar to like in Egypt, we restrict our aid, we stopped giving them military aid to units and things that supported like the authoritarian government against its citizens. We think other countries are also restricted. We think Israel is the only country that we don't apply these restrictions to.
Okay, are you able to track like exactly which guns and which units committed?
I mean, I feel like we're able to do this for other countries, which means we'd probably be able to do it for Israel, as we have a well-established legal precedent for controlling these things.
Okay.
We just don't
So
do it. The State Department normally vets units that we send military equipment and aid and countries that we send troops to. In this instance, we don't.
So, if Israel says yes, will the U.S. continue supplying aid?
We think it would be a substantially reduced amount in line with the restrictions that we have specified.
But if Israel has said yes, would there still be those restrictions?
What do you mean say yes?
Like
They're
they
never going to
agree
get
to
the
the
aid that
conditions.
violate. Well, they can't just agree because they never get the aid to units that violate, and they never get the aid that's being used for the war.
Okay, so they can't agree to the
Well,
restrictions?
they can't agree. It's like, it's not they're asked to do something and they do it. It's that they're told, if you do this, you will not be given guns. Like,
Okay, got it. I'll send out the document.
okay.
Okay, it'll be 4 off and on case.
Okay.
Can I borrow your stand?
Yes.
Thank you.
Probably better to stand there. Because the table's stuff. The table's like the small one.
Yeah.
4 off and then
Okay, everyone good? Okay, let me know if you're ready.
okay, just open this up. Oh, not have to drive. Shoot. I just want to get a time and just get this out of the way. Okay. All right. Okay. I should be good to go.
Okay, I'll start my timer. First off, interpretation of the affirmative must substantially reduce military presence violation of the condition aid. When I say someone insolvency cards reduces the lesson column 6 no date, makes one size or amount less than the degree cut, and that's the thing from conditioning or proves our cards about the app Murphy and Metcalf 321. Reducing goals like security assistance or condition that assistance on Israel, and troops deployment aid with distinct commitment indicators, Martin 75. 6 different indicators of international military commitment have been identified. The indicators which have been identified are troop deployment aid and assistance, and defines troop deployments as military presence and aid as a distinct indicator, Martin 75. The concept of foreign military presence refers to a base presence of units or deployment of fleets. The criterion of a military presence is that actual presence or actual physical presence and the formalities regulating this presence. Military aid are single commitment indicators. Statements 1 bidirectional. The right to condition aid changes Israel behavior post plan either the same amount or more aid would be given. Planners in the vacuum does install next guard. This looked all the absolutely evidence in 1 air 2 air spin causing late breaking debates with kill caution fear that oftentimes give 2 limits limiting including aid tools and prepper and allowing obstacle arms sales offensive and defensive weaponry tanks and ships guns and aid was an entire topic previously. 3 ground position counterplace T9 ground assurance and deterrent don't link if they maintain presence meaning no terms no links on distance. 4 negative presumption they don't reduce aid if they do they can't solve case drop the meter no RBIs they don't win for being fair. 5 competing interests yes no questions is the best topic no all reasonable is arbitrary and leads to judge intervention. Second off used arms in the Middle East is strong but shaky military presence key to countering revisions expansion. China and Russia perceive very broad competition at 0-7 because 23 the regions undergoing transformation has gone Washington's attention Ukraine 0% medium competition in China again involves a strategic partnership with Iran spend relations with Russia that subversive actions Iran price has been mitigated considerably by China comes humiliated about it by refusing to increase oil production U.S. Saudi relationship importing U.S. UAE to Saudi Arabia is expanding relations U.S. is not trying to directly replace the U.S. military trying to the negotiating process by the U.S. By noting that the Middle East there's developments reflected certain confusion by its emphasis on alliances for the U.S. sort of presence. China may be able to replace America. Americans don't want to see too much of regional Beijing, and withdrawal triggered suddenly Russia fill in. The US is still a major player, but the plan triggers great power competition, SCMP21. US scales back military presence, China and Russia fill gap, the US is slowly around elsewhere, narrowing time competition, Russia and China looking closely through a vacuum opens, they can exploit there may be an opportunity, which is selling defense system, China to expand economic power, except military base, American power and electric security challenge, Beijing seeking footholds in Africa and the Middle East, are doing more, maybe Russia and China, US and partner choice, the option not open countries head, and Russia's poised to swoop in, winning Israel over, which increase Russia's great power status in the Middle East, US military presence, the defining factor, Survey 23. Israel's important for Russia in the Middle East, now Young presenting himself as a friend of Putin, following Ukraine, Israel, number of sanctions, declined to send weapons to Kiev, and starting cooperative approach to standing agreements, Israel engaged diplomatically and economically with Russia and Moscow's international isolation, Moscow balancing act to enable Russia to gain status and presents a great power and essentially intermediary. Russia's support for Hamas is rhetorical. Israel's aligning itself with the US and hence further for Russia support provided by US is strengthening the only the West can be relied upon. And great power competition, meaning goes nuclear, continued US presence necessary for arms race game is calculation, meet 15. Some argue the United States could reduce removal in the Middle East, wars will short let the US ensure commerce taking energy out of the geopolitical competition any power from getting ability to blacken the world longest area, great power piece of major powers engage and build a strong American military presence in the Middle East, suppressing security competition to the United States, but China must see a need to protect security, accelerate build up Japan and India, see the chance to rise without competition for security, redirect hostility, risk of great power competition intensify. Third off, counterplaying the United States should condition basing operations in Israel on an immediate end to the Gaza bombing campaign, allowing the United Nations the adequate humanitarian aid, concluding a two-state solution, recognizing Palestinian sovereignty. Standards 23. Hamas made clear goals for perpetual warfare and destruction of Israel, immediate end to bombing, distribution network to prevent third starvation and disease and build shelters and evacuate Israel, occupation of blockade of Gaza, no Palestinian leadership needing most guarantee displaced Palestinians the absolute right to return to their homes and killing the free settlements. The basic two-state solution, the U.S. was moved by aggressively dramatically increase support for Palestinian people. It's not going to happen on its own. Only way is if the U.S. uses substantial leverage. We all know that leverage is a relationship approach was that the U.S. must make clear there are conditions. And we should marry Webster no date. All I'm saying you should use the same, should just what should be done. And competes should means must and is immediate. Summers 94. Contest manager construction of should is more than desirability. The phrase denotes flaws immediately factors opposed to the future. I'm going to skip the fourth off. On case. Top level, there's no evidence that says the Middle East is key to Chinese sphere of influence, and military aid to Israel is key to prevent Israeli realignment with China. Zakim 21. Israel relationship with China military experts are sure to help them change of American aid is put in question. And normalization is all good. Saudi's just posturing only continue. U.S. presence in the region guarantees normalization. Eric Center, Washington, D.C. 24. Normalization will survive Gaza peace treaty, survive many trying crises, maybe permanent accords like whether the current war. Normalizing states will continue to have their relations with Israel. Sovereign decisions they will continue to proclaim their support for Palestinian state, political and economic interests. Security threats and agricultural relations of the U.S. and no impact to loss of U.S. leadership. 2021. Supposed threats. Princess of Asians overturning of the liberal order. Asians little interest in exporting governance. They want nations to copy and to legitimize the system to domestic audience. The base show little desire to sell loans that will fail. Actual attractiveness would prove limited. Figures undergirding China's not replicable. And not sustainable given the aging population, corruption, economic inequality, and free information flows drive innovation since the 80s. Not single nations adopt that system is highly debatable. Single global order even exists. The challenge is not to imagine threats. Reject this spacious notion China is starting to destroy way of life. And no time on invasion. Diplomatic backwash cost lack of military capacity and semiconductor defense all check. Burma 23. Chinese troops haven't faced shootings since 1979. Risk of Chinese military action against Taiwan remains low. China's latest response was less military threatening. She is a peacemaker. Hopes others will see China's global mediator. Falls visit of Iran, Saudi, or Chinese mediation. Unlikely to reverse diplomatic victories by stumbling into a war. Putin demonstration of how unpredictable, costly, and humiliating war be. She understands risks of defeat are real. 90% ships made in Taiwan. China's low to risk conflict. Leave economy without access to the most important resource. And military presence in Israel is key to preventing Iran war. Fugo and Mavgosky 21. Iron Dome's people intercepting 90% of rockets. It's essential to eliminate conflict and protecting Israeli and Palestinian citizens. Replenishing the intercept is important to protect Israel. Iron Dome also says to protect Palestinian citizens. The Iron Dome, Hamas is emboldened, costing money less. However, Iron Dome could defend our allies, creating a more dangerous world. Iran relishing any diminished U.S. commitment to Israel should continue to enjoy overwhelming bipartisan support. And U.S. military presence key to ballistic missile defense. AJC 88. U.S. Congress approved funding for Iron Dome after Gaza conflict. U.S. Iron Dome is the air defense system. Is an air defense with support from the U.S. Israel plays a vital stabilizing role. This U.S.-Israel relationship also gives Americans access to defense. U.S. Israel to buy more by the U.S. The U.S. overwhelmingly approved a bill. And the U.S. military presence key to deter wider West Asian war. Afton Dilian 23. The U.S. bolsters military presence in the Middle East meant to deter wider war. We're sending a message to Hezbollah to not get involved against Israel. Biden pursued the two-track policy. This first was a full embrace of Israel, and second was sending U.S. naval and air access to the Eastern Mediterranean Red Sea. Nasrallah is holding back likely that U.S. military presence working as a deterrent. Hezbollah is worried about facing the power of the U.S. military. And Israel is a key ally and hotspot for escalation. Military presence there is crucial for deterrence. Dow 1212. America's security linked to Israel. Israel only ally in dangerous neighborhood. Ally containing Iran, stunting Iran's nuclear program. U.S. maintain power, promoting regional and international stability. Cut the card at stability.
Okay. Yes.
1 second. Okay. I'm good. Sorry.
Read all the cards leading up to the card that you marked on the case, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Counterclaim status.
Dispo.
Okay. What's the condition? It's just perm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. The case arguments, I guess. What's the warrant for no impact or loss of leadership?
Right. Basically, it says that there's no other global order that can take over. So even if the U.S. leadership declines, there's not going to be another international or world order that fills in. So it's saying saying China's going to destroy the way of life is ridiculous.
I guess you didn't read the long counterclaim, correct?
I did not read the fourth off.
Okay. The reduction, how does the act violate? I'm really confused.
On topicality?
Yeah.
We're saying you condition aid.
Why? When did I say I conditioned aid?
Sure, a lot of your solvency cards use the words condition aid.
Okay.
For example.
That's fine. I guess, what ground did you lose?
What ground did we lose?
Yes.
Well, if you perm the conditions counterclaim, that means that they're basically the same
what?
thing. If you're not actually reducing military presence, then none of our dissent.
So test of competition. Okay, that's fine. The counter plan, I guess. Why does Summers was the dissenting opinion? Why do you think that this means that this is valid?
Sorry, can you ask that again?
Actually, I'll ask a different question. Russia poised to swoop in. Why? What is the terminal impact to Russia? Why does Russia swoop in? I guess.
Why does Russia swoop in? Sure, Russia has had their eyes on the Middle East for a long time, so they want to expand their influence in the Middle East.
Okay.
That's their motivation.
That's fine. I guess. Bremer. Why? Why doesn't China invade?
Which card are you talking about?
The Bremer evidence. No Taiwan invasion. Why doesn't Taiwan? Why doesn't China invade?
Sure, there's a few warrants in here. Firstly, the Chinese military is woefully unprepared for a fight.
Okay.
They haven't fought in a long time. Also, they're reliant on semiconductors from Taiwan.
Right.
If they bomb Taiwan, then they won't have those anymore and are basically screwed.
Is the
so
argument?
they want to do that.
Sorry, I have another question.
Sure.
The argument, or what is the net benefit to conditions?
Right. The net benefit to conditions is the fill-in dissent.
Why?
Because U.S. military presence would still be present in Israel.
Okay. That's fine, I guess. The argument about Iran war, is this just about BMD?
Which card?
Military presence in Israel is key to preventing Iran war.
Is that just about what? The Iron Dome?
Is that
It's mostly
okay?
about the Iron Dome.
Okay, that's fine. I guess, actually, that's fine. I'll take prep. Let me just give it a time. Computer's being let me close this. Keep getting one run. Okay, I'll start prep right now. Stop prep, 3:15 remaining. I'll send it off.
Okay.
Set. Where will be the it'll be the 1 and C case page. Then it'll be topicality, the counter plan, and then the DA.
Okay, give me a second to build it. Okay, I'm good.
Great. 1 second. Case T counter plan DA. We good? Yes, Middle East is key to China SOI. Any SOI makes them come back to renegotiate, which was the brand's evidence that was conceded. They say that China, that Israel will realign with China. There's no warrant for this. It's could not would. They're saying that Israel might do this, but there's no terminal impact of this. Normalization is not, quote, all good, because this is about the Abraham Accords, which is with the United Arab Emirates, which is not the affirmative. Our scenario is about the Saudis, and our specific internal links are about joining the Saudi Arabian allied bloc with Israel. They say no impact on leadership. This is wrong. Beijing is revisionist, which was conceded, proved by the deal with Iran. And Saudis try to build regional influences and push this out, and they want Taiwan, which was dropped because of Xi's nationalist rhetoric. The Bremer evidence. Yes, Taiwan impact had happened by 2025, because America is perceived as distracted, only holding on to the international order solves, which is brand goes nuclear, not the afford to lose Taiwan outweighs. China views the U.S. as declining power and believes due to international support as a partner of choice that it can make Taiwan. That goes nuclear because neither side can afford to lose. Bremer is just saying that they shouldn't do it because they don't have the capacity, but they think they do because they think they won't be punished for it, which means that in a golden sheet, the Iron Dome stuff is wrong because we don't remove it because it's defensive. That was the plan's explanation and it's consistent with what our cards say. They also funded themselves, which was our similar evidence. BMD is also defensive, so we don't remove it. There's no terminal impact to it. We end the Gaza war, which they drop, which means there's no scenario for escalation. The precedent for deterrence is about other areas not in Israel, so areas around us solved. They marked it too early. There was no warrant. They dropped that normalization shows China that we aren't leaving anytime soon, which stops them establishing a sphere of influence with the region. Otherwise, they're emboldened to renegotiate in other regions, which causes this broader Asia war. They've straight conceded the alliance blocks in our wrong scenario, which means you should give a low threshold for a winning 2-hour. Normalization is necessary to unite the 2 allied blocks in the region. Otherwise, Iran escalates, causes bullet escalate, which scares Israel and causes nuclear retaliation, which you know is 100%. See? One is that I need panic vacuum these arbitrary avoids random violations, guarantees, countermeasure, accommodation, absolute solves credibility scenario because we thought 40 Israel. I need to take permanent reduction, increase the restrictions on aid permanently, which means they don't get it. We definitely lessen this. Is consistent with the cross explanation of the affirmative. I'm really not sure where there is a violation. The reduced military presence include temporary, suspended, and more strict eligibility criteria. Rules 2. Lots of the optional rules reduction of benefits conditions. The benefit reduces benefit just a decrease in the size of the benefit condition, reduces the benefit permanent reduces or eliminates benefits. The retiring never recovers the payments lost. The amendment reduces total benefits, and that was permanent. This was a reduction. Military presence all use most of their assets in these areas independently. None of their standards are about this. Thomas 2. Artificial military is that it consists of all military assets and overseas areas that are engaged in routine non-combat activities. Forces that are engaging in combat or involved in one-time action are not engaging in presence. Presence includes foreign military sales and funding of other nations. I need the no combat interpretation because we would end future assistance predictability. This definition for the DoD that translates as literature guides preparation. Thomas 2. This new rule of the DoD identified military presence postures. New answers to new violations span their violation text about a conditioning which their standards are separate from. Preferred for Afghan, it's worse for the next conditions because you have a number of a deficit with the next BTA conditions. There's no reason it's called coordinate ground. There's no right directionality. It's a restriction, not a condition. Nowhere does the app give more aid. They never get it back. People plan expecting solves or means evidence. They want to see checks. Functional limits, conditions, doesn't want to link to DAs and guarantee stable links, perception based links, check, reasonability goes good enough. Avoid some crowded norm setting is disproven interventions. Inevitable evaluate every argument. Aid as one app, the winning system of their injured already. There's willing to sell a substantial amount of weapons support or 5 countries, all but Israel have troops and bases on the Gaza or the condition covenant. 1, perm do both. 2, 0 shot it solves with this counterfeit text set basin, which means it doesn't include the switch by internal to everything else. Do the counterfeit and cross apply the reduction definition from T and cross apply the warrant for why it's better for the after condition. Should for future brown aid. Should look to the future, the raise considering possible future event. Should advisory not certain. It also equals law. Richmond 16. Only leases lowered sources actually supports less reports that never been reiterated by the Supreme Court. Should does not convey imperative obligation no more compulsion than not. Should was recommendation on mandate. Immediacy is bad. It's no way counterfeit competitive, which involves get a deficit, get just like consulting any personal organization, shifts based on process of running and running ed. Villain. One is that villain is happening now. This withdrawals from other parts of the region, which China and same thing for its economic and diplomatic presence here. That guy normalized conditions between the Saudis and Israel checks. The census when the Americans still committed and joins the 2 biggest partners, 2 allies in the region. Which one is trying to say because the U.S. is a massive hypocrite. That's Caviar 3. There's no terminal impact for pro-lips and 1C. Great power competition debate term. He just says that Bruce wouldn't testify with that scenario. 4. Russia's slogan is wrong. Certainly says they're a joke and they need weapons for their own war. Insert 1C starting 23 because it's their car. They marked it. Or they stopped reading after the part where they say that Israel doesn't take Russia seriously. 5. There's no internal link to Israel broadly or a reason why Russia would sort of have conflict in the year. 6. There is no internal link to energy security because Israel doesn't have any oil because of the conceded preempts in the 1AC. You know that the after terms of DA before the HOC have another impact for Russia. Just China.
Okay. I have 4 minutes of prep, so I'm going to start that right now. gonna be case and then T.
Okay.
Case and then T.
We're good.
No, I just need a second. Case T. Got it.
You good? I'm sorry, I couldn't see you. Okay. I'll start my time. First case on presumption. Either the affirmative does reduce aid because Israel does change their behavior, like their Baynard card claims, which means that they cannot, or either they do reduce aid because Israel does not change their behavior, unlike what their Baynard card claims, which means they can't solve their case because Israel does not change their behavior and doesn't spur follow on by other countries, or they don't reduce because Israel, yes, has changed their behavior and is wanting to accept more aid, which means that they are non-topical, on topicality. I'm extending our interpretation. The affirmative must substantially reduce military presence. The violation is that they are conditioning aid. I'm extending my standards. First, on bidirectionality. They're not decreasing presence at all. This means we can't garner stable disad links because all of our disad links in this topic are contingent on the reduction of presence. If we don't have that, we're unable to link to any stable part of the affirmative. That also means they can get neg offense on this topic because they're able to talk about increasing or keeping the status quo, which should be neg ground. If they're right that conditioning aid changes Israel's behavior post-plan, either the same amount or more aid is going to be given to Israel. This means that there isn't any reduction, there's not a substantial reduction or any reduction of presence, because if Israel's behavior does change and they start to abide with the U.S.'s conditions, then the amount of aid the U.S. provides isn't going to go down. On our limit standards, this kills limits. This underlimits all of this overlimits all of the apps on this topic. Apps literally don't have to reduce presence. They can be about any part of military aid. They can be about any part of conditioning aid. They can make apps on arbitrary conditions with any country in the Middle East, and we're unable to engage with that because they're just conditioning on military presence. Under the app's interpretation, it doesn't matter if they reduce presence at all, as long as there's some arbitrary condition that slightly restricts the amount of presence on ground. We're losing all disads on this topic, and we lost the conditions counterplan. The fact that they were able to perm that with the same responses to our T proves that they are non-topical in this debate. The core of this app on this topic is whether fully pulling out or conditioning aid for Israel is a better plan, but we couldn't have that debate because they just skipped to conditioning aid, which should be neg ground. On the affirmative definitions, their Williams card is terrible on this issue. This is about retirement, not military presence. It's not even related to the topic. Our Murphy and Makovsky cards are the best cards to evaluate in this debate, and they should be the definition cards you use to write your ballot. They're specifically about the situation. See, I quote, recent calls to cut security assistance to Israel or to condition that assistance on Israel. They're specifically talking about military aid with Israel and saying that conditioning assistance is different than fully cutting it off. On the line by line for the affirmative standards. Firstly, on our violation, yes, our violation was about conditioning. That is the way I'm going to spin this in the NR. Also, plan text in the vacuum does not solve it. The app does something completely different than what they claim in their plan text. Then the plan text is not a stable point for us to link to in the round. If they could read, oh, we should substantially reduce military presence, and then have all the rest of their cards in that case be about increasing presence, and that's why plan text in the vacuum wouldn't solve. They want to spin their 1AR that they are just restricting presence, that they are just restricting future aid. No card in their 1AC so that they're pulling back U.S. presence that is in Israel now. There's no evidence about getting the guns back. On the stuff about deficits, their deficit stuff is ridiculous. If there's no reason why a condition counterplan is bad, then there's no reason why a condition 1AC is bad. A deficit is just a disad to a counterplan. And this app wasn't in the resolution anyway. They're not decreasing, so no core generics link. Also, they say never get it back. Never get what back? Israel will still have the same amount of aid they have right now. Only the standards are a little bit slimmer in the future. Of aid in the future, no reduction. Again, if Israel complies with all of the U.S.'s conditions, then then the amount of aid they receive isn't going to be reduced in the slightest. We can't get any links to this as if they don't reduce. That's on reasonability. Defaults and competing interpretations extend our answers to reasonability. A, the app is not reasonably topical, and their interp is not reasonable to debate. That was the impact debate. B, reasonability ensures that debaters are decided on judges' subjective preferences of T arguments, which are impossible to know pre-round. C, even if reasonability is generally good, it doesn't make sense against its interpretation. This isn't a way of limiting out one app. This is a fundamental divergence in the direction of the topic that will shape the next 5 months of debate. Our standards for this debate are fairness and education. Yes, fairness is an internal link to education, but we can't engage in education if we were unable to engage with the app in the first place. By reading this app, I was not able to get any stable neg links to this round. The fact that I had to read generic neg positions that didn't even link because they're not reducing presence proves this. They're able to perm my conditions counterplan and say that they're the same thing because they are the same thing. That's what the affirmative in this debate. They're just conditioning aid. That means that it's unfair. I can't engage with the affirmative because they're just stealing away my neg positions. This means I can't get the education we need on this topic. Again, I provided a good explanation of education earlier that they could have just read pulling out all aid from Israel, and we could have had a good debate about whether conditioning was better. And that would have been a better way to engage in this topic and actually gain the education we need from this debate. So yes, fairness is internally to education. If I can't engage with the app, I can't get any education, which is why fairness is the most important impact in this debate, and you should vote negative.
Okay, I have 3 minutes and 14. I just need to get my mouse back. 3 minutes, 14 seconds. We'll start this right now. applicable to topicality case will be embedded on T, like on the predicate spec markings.
I'm good.
You vote affirmative because topicality is about the words of the plan. Our interpretation is that topicality definitions are a solvency I question, i.e. the negative may use them as a clarifying lens to understand what the plan means or to garner their offense in the form of counterplan, competition, and DA links and limit the scope of affirmative offense. The framing issue. You have no other comparative standard for how you should evaluate topicality of the affirmative, which means that their argument is that any 1EC card can be used to establish a topicality violation. This is bad and exactly what they did in this debate. The fundamental problem with this model is that authors do not write in the context of made-up debate resolutions, which means inevitably proposals and articles that we cut as cards will include things distinct from the resolution. The 1EC is not so much a coherent research paper for a school project, but a debate case of many different articles stringed together, unified by the text of the plan as the only stable stasis point for how offense can be garnered. There is no definition of a solvency advocate, which begs the question of what the term means. Why are my impact cards solvency advocates? They say we need to deter China or improve our international standing. Their model justifies negative, saying that this is a mandate of the plan in order to preclude substantive debate. The win condition is just answering their non-unique plaintiffs and acting bad DA that was on topicality and explaining why this app can still do something under it. I'll answer the line one here. First is that they say we can't solve the app. This is wrong, because we still show a dramatic shift in our international standing. We might not be able to gain the full offense that we garner from restricting aid, i.e. the normalization scenario, but we're definitely able to show that the U.S. is no longer interested in giving full support to Israel. A full withdrawal of all aid to Israel is definitely enough to sort of show that we are committing to human rights, which means that they're still able to garner all of their offense by a permanent reduction, but we're still able to solve our Taiwan scenario. They say that we can just read a different app and draw a plan on top, but the problem is that affirmatives must be able to articulate solvency, which means that if they were to use clarifying definitions like this, then it would be able to sort of bracket out the question of what this actually looks like. The second, they say that we have no card that says that we actually reduce it, and that all of our cards talk about conditioning, but the way the affirmative has been explained is that we increase the restrictions on when we were able to provide aid. This is definitely a permanent reduction, and they've not defined a condition in a condition as opposed to a reduction in the first place, which means that you should err affirmative here. You know that the affirmative definitely reduces the amount of net aid that we give to Israel, because we establish restrictions on when they are able to receive this aid, i.e. if we say the units who violate human rights are not being able to be allowed to be given aid in the first place, then this means that they are not given aid. That means that the net amount of aid that is in Israel is still less in the future, which means that we functionally meet their interpretation. There was no violation work here beyond asserting something that the cards say, which means the fact that we want to panic in vacuum should take all this out. I'll extend the counter proper here with reasonability. The bright line is in the topic. They have dropped the fact that we would only have one after the topic, which means that you should err heavily affirmative to preserve substantive debate. They had substantive ground. I'll do the line one here, the limit stuff. They haven't given you a case list, which means you should be heavily skeptical of the ground. The only argument they say that they lost is the conditions counterclaim. The problem is that you can still read the conditions counterclaim because you read arguments about certainty and immediacy for competition. Permanently, the counterclaim is not a violation argument on topicality because it does not mean that the affirmative is saying that's what the app is. It's saying that that's one way the app can win when it is that's how counterclaim competition works. They've not given you a list of positions that they've lost, which means that the substance DA should outweigh because we only have 2 months to debate the topic. Good round.
Good debate.